Phil.Lesh, who passed away at the age of 84, was a transformative figure in rock music as the bassist for the Grateful Dead, an iconic band that pushed boundaries and defined the countercultural era of the 1960s and beyond. Lesh's unique approach to the bass guitar, informed by his classical training and diverse musical interests, helped the Grateful Dead achieve an unprecedented level of improvisational depth and freedom. His style redefined what a bassist could contribute to a rock band, as he extended his influence well beyond the traditional supportive role, incorporating elements of jazz, classical music, and the avant-garde into his performances. One of Lesh's earliest musical memories involved being deeply moved by Brahms's Symphony No. 1. This formative experience foreshadowed his lifelong devotion to music that resonated on an emotional level and encouraged exploration across genres. Lesh grew up in Berkeley, California, in a family that nurtured his love for music. His father, Frank, was an amateur musician, and his mother, Barbara Chapman Lesh, encouraged his interests. Raised primarily by his maternal grandmother, Bobbie Chapman, Lesh was exposed to a range of musical genres through her love for classical music and radio. In his memoir, Searching for the Sound, My Life with the Grateful Dead, 2005, Lesh reminisced about the wonder of discovering music, describing how listening to radio broadcasts and his father's piano playing sparked a fascination that would guide his life. Lesh's initial musical training was in classical instruments. He began by learning the violin and was an active participant in Berkeley's Young People's Symphony Orchestra. However, as he entered his teenage years, Lesh shifted his focus to the trumpet, studying it with dedication and attending Berkeley High School, known for its progressive arts programs. During this time, Lesh developed an interest in jazz and avant-garde music, moving away from purely classical training and becoming inspired by the improvisational freedom and emotional intensity of jazz. After graduating from high school, Lesh pursued higher education in music, but found himself repeatedly drawn to new influences and experimental styles, making it difficult to stay within the confines of a traditional academic path. He studied briefly at San Francisco State College and the College of San Mateo, and later enrolled at the University of California, Berkeley. However, his curiosity led him to Mills College in Oakland, where he studied under the Italian experimental composer Luciano Berio, a significant figure in avant-garde music. Among Lesh's classmates was future minimalist composer Steve Reich, with whom he began experimenting and composing. Lesh's time with Berio and Reich introduced him to innovative techniques that would later influence his approach to bass playing. In 1965, the Grateful Dead formed in San Francisco, initially as the house band for Ken Kesey's legendary Acid Tests, a series of parties that combined psychedelic music, art, and drug experimentation. The band, led by guitarist Jerry Garcia, quickly became known for its improvisational style and willingness to explore a variety of genres, including rock, blues, folk, and country. Lesh's unique bass playing was critical to this exploratory approach. His lines were not merely supportive but served as counterpoints to Garcia's guitar, creating a harmonic depth and melodic interplay that allowed the band to extend and expand their songs during live performances. This approach resonated deeply with their fans, known as Deadheads, who appreciated the band's free-form style and the unpredictability of each concert. The Grateful Dead became a pioneering force in the burgeoning psychedelic rock scene, with Lesh's contributions helping to shape their sound and reputation for innovation. Unlike traditional rock bassists, who typically focused on providing rhythm and support, Lesh's playing was dynamic and multidimensional, adding a voice of its own to the band's sonic landscape. His contrapuntal bass lines were integral to the band's lengthy improvisations, adding layers of complexity and interplay that captivated audiences. Notable examples of his improvisational skill can be found in Live/Dead, 1969, where his extended bass introduction to Dark Star set the tone for the band's groundbreaking exploration of sound. Throughout his time with the Grateful Dead, Lesh contributed to the songwriting process, helping create some of the band's most beloved songs. One of his most personal compositions, Box of Rain, from the 1970 album American Beauty, was written as a tribute to his father, who was terminally ill at the time. Lesh sang the lead vocals, while the lyrics were penned by Robert Hunter. The song became a fan favorite, resonating with listeners for its heartfelt lyrics and somber tone. In addition to Box of Rain, Lesh was credited as a co-writer on songs like Truckin' and Cumberland Blues, which reflect the band's experiences on the road and their blend of American musical traditions. Lesh's contributions extended to other Grateful Dead classics, including Unbroken Chain and Pride of Cucamonga from the album From the Mars Hotel, 1974. In these songs, he demonstrated his willingness to experiment with diverse genres, incorporating elements of funk and soul into his bass lines. His influence is also heard on the track Passenger from Terrapin Station, 1977, where his bass work provided a groove that became the song's backbone. Lesh was also instrumental in creating Street Stephen, an early favorite at Grateful Dead concerts that showcased the band's signature mix of rock, folk, and improvisation. The Dead's live performances, often unpredictable and deeply improvisational, were both celebrated and critiqued. Fans acknowledged that their concerts could be a hit-or-miss experience, with moments of pure transcendence occasionally interrupted by periods where the band struggled to find its groove. However, when inspiration struck, the result was often unforgettable, with Lesh's bass guiding the musical journey. Many of these performances were recorded, either officially or as bootlegs, creating an extensive archive of the band's live shows. Box sets like So Many Roads, 1965 to 1995, and live albums, such as Live/Dead, preserve these moments, capturing the energy and spontaneity that made the Grateful Dead's concerts legendary. While Lesh's primary contributions were through his bass playing and songwriting, his influence on the band's creative direction and ethos was profound. He encouraged the Grateful Dead to embrace an experimental approach, leading them to explore diverse sounds and themes. His background in classical and avant-garde music contributed to the band's willingness to break away from conventional structures and pursue a more fluid improvisational style that became their hallmark. His classical sensibilities also informed the Grateful Dead's distinctive approach to harmony and rhythm, blending disparate musical elements into a cohesive whole that could shift and transform within a single performance. Phil.LESH's legacy extends beyond the Grateful Dead.